Hi everyone, it's Wanda with the Armchair Cat Advocate, and I wanted to do another community update. I have an ask for the community. You know, I don't do this very often, but I'm going to do this tonight. It's around, I don't know, close to 11 o'clock. I got back a while ago from being with my friend Susan. It was her daughter's, well, it was actually her daughter's birthday earlier in the week, but they celebrated it today. So we all went out to an early dinner and then went back to the house and hung out for a while. And Susan she had a one of those like rubber wristbands, like the Live Strong. Remember Live Strong, and they have different messages on them, different colors mean different things. I guess you call maybe like a cause bracelet. And because this is a channel of about cat advocacy and education, but also, you know, we do support the people to help them support the pets. And of course, we also look at some social justice issues. And this kind of, I don't know, well, let me explain what's going on. So, I mean, the cats are connected, I promise. But let me get there. So, Susan had this bracelet on and it said Team Jen. And I was like, wow, I've never seen that before. What's Team Jen? So, I didn't ask her right away because we were in the process of going in and out and going to the restaurant and everything. But later, when we were back at the house and it was myself and Susan and her daughter, whose birthday we were celebrating today, the daughter asked something about the bracelet, and Susan was talking about Jen and Jess, and I'm like, what's this about? Because I'm confused. And she said, oh, you know Elijah and Jess Cross. And I'm like, yeah. And Elijah and Jess Cross. So Elijah Cross is he's a local guy. He does magic, comedy, he sings, he does voiceovers. He's a very talented young man. And his wife, Jess, this Jen is Jess's sister. So Elijah and Jess are cat people. So they have two cats. And I know that Elijah has also done, I met Elijah back in, I don't know, 2016, 2017. He came on the Knowledge is Power show when I had the cable access show. And he talked about, he was actually doing a fundraiser at that time, or getting ready to do a fundraiser for NAMI, our local NAMI, which is the National Alliance for Mental Illness. And that's right, I met him on the show. So this is somebody that I know. This is someone that, mutual friend, you know, Susan. They've been to Susan's house for Christmas, New Year's, along, you know, with me. So I know them very well. Been to several of Elijah's shows. And Elijah has I don't know if he still has, he was performing with a woman, but I don't know if they're still performing together or not, because I think the woman was taking a break. Babby's Niff is crying in the background. He wants attention. I've been gone most all day. In here, Niff. So Jen, the person on the bracelet, Jen is Jess's sister, and Jen I don't know Jen. I'll be very honest with you all. I don't know Jen. But Jen had some stomach issues, went to the hospital. A few days later, it was found out that she has metastatic cancer. So she has colon cancer. And she's 39 years old. She has kids, single mom. I don't think dad's in the picture. I'm going to put this up on the community tab so that everyone can read it. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to raise money so that she can pay her bills while she's undergoing treatment, because she has to have very aggressive cancer treatment and she's not going to be able to work. And I don't know if she's going to be able to get disability or anything like that. So they're trying to get money together for her. I think so far they've raised over $3,000. I'm not, I'm putting it out there for the community. I know, the last GoFundMe was a shit show. I get it, folks. I just but Wanda, the last GoFundMe, this is a completely different thing. I know these people. This is people that I know in real life. I have had dinner with them. I have, been to his shows. I've had him on my show. I assure you, this is not a grifter claiming to start a nonprofit and then taking the money and running. This is not the same thing. It's legit. It is legit. My friend Susan already donated to it. So if if that's something that you think you would like to do, we'd appreciate it if you would. If not, fine. No pressure. It says in the GoFundMe, they say if people aren't able to donate, just please keep her in your thoughts and prayers and send positive energy. Whatever your belief system is, just try to keep her in your thoughts. And share it. If you can't do anything else, share it to your social media. Try to get some help. I just told Susan that I would put it on this channel because, they're good friends of Susan. In fact, they lived with, not this Jen, but Elijah and Jess lived with Susan for about a year. They weren't planning on living with her for a year, but it was 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020. And they were unable. They were trying to just save some money they wanted actually to move out west, and then it didn't happen because of, a certain virus that happened in 2020. So anyway, it's legit. If you can, please do. If you can't, again, just keep her in your thoughts. That's a horrible thing to go in with some stomach pain, and 4 days later it's hey, your whole world's now going to possibly crumble around you. So I wanted to just put that out there for everyone. And I also wanted to give a few updates, because I told everyone that I would talk about what's happening with my colony, and updates on Jack and Lucy and Chaplin. So let's start with one of the things that we want to do is Kayla and some of the girls from the rescue want to get together and do a mass trapping for TNR over here, because we do have a lot of cats. And it's been really hard this past week because our weather has been horrendous. I just got back. I put food out for them earlier today before I went over with Susan, and I came back and they still have some. They have a big pan of dry food and they have water, but they ate some of their wet food, so I was going to put more wet food down. I got everything together. I walked to the door and it's pouring down rain. I don't even know how to feed these cats at this point. The best that I can do is put 3 cans of Friskies on each on 2 plates, split it between, so 6 cans of Friskies split between 2 plates, and shove them up underneath the car, up underneath the wheels. It seems to stay dry if I put it up in those spots, but anywhere else, it seems like, the rain follows the contour of the car and it gets wet. And once wet food gets water added to it, it just turns into a soupy, sloppy mess, and the cats won't eat it unless they're starving. So, I don't really want to waste food. So that's been a challenge, and trapping's been a challenge. This is going to be more of a challenge because Kayla's husband is going into his busy season with work, so he's not going to be able to come and pick up cats like he was before. So we'll have to trap at certain times and hope that the cats cooperate. So that's kind of where that's all at right now, is we're still working on that. A little side note, on Friday, which was yesterday, I was outside early in the morning, like around, I guess it was around 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was out, checking on Rogue, because Rogue doesn't want to come in. He's still looking for Lucy. He goes out, he looks, I threw out her box because her box was getting all wet and gross from the rain, number one, but number two, from her, all that drooling and, the infection coming out of her mouth, that was all over everything, and I just threw her, it was just a box turned on its side, so I just threw that out, because I thought when she comes back, get a box, so. But while I was out there with him, because he was laying out there and he didn't want to come in, and I was talking to him and trying to convince him to come inside, and I heard a voice say, "Is that a stray?" And I looked down, and there was this guy in the alley, and he's looking up at me, and he said, and I'm out there in my nightgown, and my, like, a dorm shirt, and my fleece bottoms that I wear all the time. I don't know what's going to happen when they wear out. I just love these things. They're a little hot this time of year, but they really do protect my legs from the cats, and that's the reason why I wear them all the time, because they do offer some protection. So anyway, he's like, "Is that a stray?" And I said, "No, he's mine. He just wants to sleep out on the balcony." I said, but he comes in, he goes in and out. He comes in and then he goes out. He sleeps on the balcony or lays out on the balcony, and he watches from his royal throne, observes his domain. So it turned out, as I talked to this guy a little bit, and I said he was a stray, and I said I have some strays that I take care of. I doing some stuff with Feline Solutions, and we're trying to TNR and blah 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 blah. And he said, "That's really cool." He said, that's really, he said, I like that a lot. He said, "Yeah," he said, "I have a stray." He said, "I had a stray on my lawn and brought him in, and now I have 6 of them." And then he said, "I have the garage like 5 houses down." And I'm thinking, wow, that's nice. Wow, that's really, I didn't get his name, but he was jogging, so he was kind of like, he was like in place. But he wanted to talk about the cats for a few minutes, so then he went on his way. But I'm sure, if he jogs, he probably does that. He runs. If he's a runner, he's probably doing that every day, and so, probably about the same time every day, because that's usually how when people do those kind of activities like biking and running, they usually go out about the same time every day. So anyway, so it's kind of a fun little aside that, there's one person that seems to be interested in the cats. So second update, when Scar was trapped, okay, Scar had a lot of stuff going on with him. So he had the mouth infection. He had panluke, which is feline distemper. He had that, and he had flea allergy, and he had anemia from the flea bites. So he had a lot going on. You know, his tail was matted, it had poop in it, and it still looks like a little rat tail, or a little possum tail. So because he has or had or tested positive for feline distemper, Kayla is advising that all of the colony cats and all of my indoor cats, everybody gets updated and boosted. So my indoor cats, and I'll be honest with folks, and I know there are a lot of folks I know in this community that feel the same way. I don't really like to give more vaccinations than I have to, because all the research that I've read, vaccinations last a lot longer than, you know, the typical recommendation of every year. And also with the possibility of them developing sarcoma and it's a very, very, very rare event. I want to make that very clear. It's incredibly rare that it happens, but it can happen that cats can have or can develop sarcoma, which is cancer at the injection site from some of these vaccines. And if that happens, you know, it's just, you might as well say your goodbyes, because if it's irregular, like injected in the scruff or the back of the leg, I mean, it's not easy to, well, if it's in the scruff of the neck, they're not going to be able to amputate that. I know there's been guidance that it's been, the guidance is to vaccinate as far down as possible on the leg, so that they could amputate if they had to. And I mean, they're even recommending injecting in the base of the tip of the tail. I don't know how they would do that. You'd have to have some mad skill to be able to do that. So I can do vaccinations myself. I'm capable of doing that. I've done it before. But I do have some cats like Masu and Zuki. I do have a few that it would, and even Fury. Fury's he's a wiggle worm. You know, he's like when I'm trying to do something with him. I mean, he's not aggressive or anything. He doesn't bite or scratch or anything. He just does contortions to get away. And it's really hard, because when you're trying to vaccinate, you have to be careful. You don't want to pop a vein. You want to make sure you don't have any air bubbles. I mean, it's not hard to give an injection, but there's certain things that you have to make sure happen before that cat or animal, human, whatever, gets that injection. So, you know, when you're giving these kind of injections, they're not supposed to go into the vein. So, I mean, and they even tell you on the packaging when you put it in to draw it up a little bit, and if any blood comes out, to pull it out and find another spot. So Kayla offered to help me with this. Now, the thing is, we have to get the vaccines. I have syringes. I have plenty of syringes. I have like a giant box of syringes that I got, back when I was doing this with a lot more cats. But the vaccine, and here's where here's the issue with the vaccine. So the vaccine is the standard one is about $100 for, I think, 25. And the one that we would like to get is the one that includes the feline leukemia. So it has it's the 3-in-1. I'm talking about the 3-in-1. So it would be the herpes, the herpes, the calicivirus, and the panleuk, which is feline distemper. And then that one would also include, so that one's actually a 4-in-1. So that would include the feline leukemia, which would be helpful, especially since we kind of had that scare with Nika and the kittens. So that one, I'm looking to see if we can maybe raise the money to get the more expensive one that has the feline leukemia. I do have about $100 so far towards it. I'm not sure exactly of the price. That is going to depend on, I'm going to get it through Revival, and I'm talking to them about a possible discount. I'm going to see if maybe they would work with me on kind of a partnership or collaboration, sponsorship, maybe something like that. The woman that I talked to was very, very nice, and she said they even had a meeting where they were talking about how so many people that are doing this work are people that are on disability. And the reason for that is because the people that are on disability and older people that are retired, they have the time to do it. So they are trying to help as much as possible. So I'm going to see if we can figure something out. I will keep everyone in the loop. I'm not asking for any money or anything, at least not at this point. It would be, as far as I will pay for my cats. It would be for the colony, the outdoor ones. I will, like I said, I already have $100 towards it. I can take care of my cats. I've done it before. I can do it again. It's the colony ones that I would need help with, because we're talking about, we'd probably have to trap them, and I don't know. That's Kayla's wheelhouse. I can trap them. She's the one. She's the yeehaw. She's the yeehaw gal that will tackle a wild feral. This is not in my wheelhouse. I'm lucky. I'm lucky I can deal with Chaplin, let alone a crazed feral slamming against the sides of a live trap. So that's another thing that we're looking to do, and I'll keep everyone updated on that. The other thing I want to talk about is Lucy. And I've always been upfront with everybody, and I'm going to be upfront with everyone now, because we're transparent here. I look at this as everyone here is grown. Well, I know we have some young people, but the majority of people on this channel, the ones that are the most active, are grown individuals. They understand the complexities of dealing with these cats, and sometimes things don't always work out the way we want. So I'm going to talk a few minutes about Lucy, and I'm going to say up front, I don't know right now what the situation is, but we have not heard anything back. Lucy went in, I believe, May 3rd, And we haven't heard anything from the SNR program. Now, Kayla said usually they don't contact until they're ready for pickup. So that in and of itself is not unusual. She also said that it kind of depends on the cat. Like if the more fractious, like Scar was, that they don't keep them as long. They try to do what they need to do and then move them out. Lucy's more workable. You know, she's not happy girl, but she's more workable. But we haven't heard anything. And we're hoping, and Kayla said that she was in really bad shape. I know she wasn't feeling well when I got her. She was spending a lot of time sleeping. I know she was, I know she had a pretty bad infection. We don't know at this point what's going on. We are hoping, and I said this to Kayla, actually Kayla texted me, and I texted Kayla back, and I said, I hope that this isn't a case where Lucy is no longer with us and they just didn't tell us that that there was some kind of mix-up or something happened, that there was a glitch, or I don't know. I'm hoping that didn't happen, because if that happened, you probably will not see me for a week, and I'm going to be very honest about that right now. Lucy was the first. She was really the first cat, the outdoor cat that I made friends with. I worked very hard to get her to trust me. I have a lot of footage of like little, I used to call it the 1 minute meow musings. I used to put them on Instagram. I don't know if they're still on the Instagram. I haven't used that Instagram account in years. Pretty much since after 2020, mid 21, I just didn't even, I was kind of like, I never really went back to the knowledge is power, and I just never really, I mean, I have all of it on my phones. I mean, now it's in the cloud, or not the cloud, the Google Photos, because I ended up just paying for 2 terabytes of storage because I was doing so much with this, and it kind of worked out it was cheaper to store it that way than to go and buy a terabyte card, which I'm still going to do that at some point. I just, it was just cheaper. It was more, I could afford this, and I don't want to lose footage that I spent a lot of time creating. So, but Lucy was I hear it's raining again. Lucy was the first outdoor cat that really, that allowed me to befriend them. And it was a process. It was about a year-long process. And this was a cat that wanted nothing to do with anybody. And so it was very hard for me when I put her in that carrier, because she doesn't understand. But it's going to be very hard if something doesn't go right and she doesn't come back. That's going to be hard for me. There's going to be a lot of guilt with that. I mean, I know, it's, I don't have anything to feel guilty about. I get that rationally and logically, but it's going to hurt because in her mind, I was someone she trusted, And one day I just picked her up, stuck her in a box, and handed her off. She doesn't understand. I mean, it's not like a human that you can explain, okay, we're going to put you in a hospital room for a month to take care of your infection. And then you get to go back. You know, she's never been around strangers. She doesn't like people other than me. And so that's going to be hard. So, you know, keep your fingers crossed, keep your paws crossed, and send positive thoughts to Lucy. Hopefully she's still with us. And like I said, hopefully this is just, like Kayla said, just a rough recovery because she had a bad infection. You know. And hopefully it's not like, well, she's just a street cat. Who cares? You know, I don't know. I don't know what the attitude is of the people that work there. I don't know. But it just seems funny that we're not hearing anything. Although, like when I was talking to Susan, I said the one thing is that seems funny that if something happened to her, because I think they had to go in a live trap. I was able to put her in a carrier because she was sick. And she didn't even fight me. So I was able, because it was just easier for me to put her in a carrier than to try to stuff her in a live trap, because live trap, you know, the carrier's bigger and made her more comfortable till she got to Kayla. So I would think that they would, at the very least, they would contact the person that took her because they had to take her into something, either in a live trap or, well, I'm pretty sure they took her in a live trap because she's an outdoor cat. She'd have to come in a live trap. So I would think that they would at least contact the person that dropped her off to say, here, come get your trap. Because those traps aren't cheap. You know, these traps aren't cheap at all. I mean, I wouldn't want to lose one of my traps. So, I'm hoping she's okay. Because Rogue doesn't even want to come in. He just wants to be out. He's out now. I made him come in when it was raining because I made him come in last night too because it was storming. But other than that, he just lays out there on his little bed and, you know, kind of just lays there and just stares at where her box was. It's really sad. So that's Lucy. So now let's move on to Jack. Jack the cat, not Jack the man. Jack, not Uncle Jack. Jack the cat. So Jack the cat is he had his appointment. Okay, he's on a different antibiotic now. And Kayla said there's really hasn't been much improvement, so she's figuring that, you know, unless he suddenly turns around, that he's probably going to be labeled chronic, which means he'll probably, you know, if he's labeled chronic, not probably, he'll end up with her. He'll stay with her. So and I don't know how many people saw her comment, but if he ends up staying with her, then what she'll do is she'll keep him on a regimen of supplements and antibiotics as needed to keep him stable so that that infection doesn't get overwhelming for him. But he's doing really well with her. He seems to be enjoying himself. He's made himself at home. It's where he wants to be. You know, he wanted to be in so badly, and now he's inside. So even if he's labeled chronic, I still say it's a success story. You know, because it's where he wants to be. He wants to be in. And we got him off the street. And yeah, it's not ideal. It would be great if he had found a loving home, and I could put together a little video of him, you know, getting adopted and everything, but this is good too. And we'll still, in this way, we'll still be able to see him. You know, we'll be able to get little videos of him. In fact, Kayla did send me some pictures and some video that I have to get up. I just didn't get a chance to get it up yet. So that's Jack's update. And, you know, let's move on to Chaplin. So I'm going to turn this around. Hi, Chaplin. Hi, Chaplin. So I wanted to revisit Chaplin here because Kayla wrote a really good comment, and I did pin it on the last video that I did of Chaplin. And she talked about his biting being a petting aggression, which basically means that he wants to be petted, but he doesn't want to be petted. So he's still processing, you know, it's a trauma response is what it is. It's just like a human that experienced trauma, and as they're learning to trust people again, or if they're getting into a relationship for the first time in a long time, and if they were with a partner that mistreated them, you know, they are looking for any signs of possible mistreatment, and there's a lot of lashing out, and I'm speaking from experience here. So that's basically what's happening with Chaplin. So I'm gonna open this up here, and he keeps I always have like 2 pee pads down, but he keeps pulling the one off. So I just threw it out and put a clean one down, and I cleaned out his litter box. And I'm trying to find a suitable, I think we're going to do I found a little plastic bin that might work. What are you doing? What are you doing, bud? Huh? What are you doing? Are you going to be my friend today? We're going to be friends? You're going to bite me? Aw. What are we going to do? You want to shake hands? Or are you going to bite? What are we going to do, bud? Huh? Now, see, you're biting already. Why you do that? Earlier, you were rubbing against me. Here, you want me to rub you? Oh, see, now you're biting again. Yeah. You're going to let me, ow, not so rough. You're going to let me pet you? Or was that because you wanted food? Maybe that's because you wanted food, dude. You wanted food? Is that what you wanted? Food? Yeah, earlier he was, well, I was gone, you know, most of the day. And when I came back and I checked him and I cleaned out his litter box and everything, he was rubbing his ringworm head all over my arm. So I had to wash and disinfect my arm. Yeah, I did. And you weren't biting me then. Can I pet you? Can I pet you? Why are you biting me? Huh? Can I pet you? No, you're licking me. Okay. We're not sure what you want to do, are you? Huh? You're just not sure? You're just not sure? You want some temptations? I'll give you some temptations. Here. Let me go get you some temptations. Hi, Mr. Boo. Do you want a couple of these temptations? Here, I'll give you a couple. Okay. Here we go, Chaplin. Here we go, dude. Here, look here. Here, look here, bud. He's purring. Here, buddy. Here, look here. No, you're not coming out. Here. Oh, well, here, buddy. Here. There you go. How's that? Yeah, good job. Thank you for rubbing your ringworm head all over my arm. Yeah. So Chaplin's making a lot of progress. He's doing really well. And I think that's pretty much our updates. And we got Mr. Boo. And we got a Masu. And we have a Maleficent. Maleficent. Hi, Maleficent. Okay, everyone. I'm going to end it there. That's our little community update. I will put the link to that GoFundMe on the community tab post. And, if you feel that you want to donate and try to help that young woman, fine. If you can't, that's okay too. Just all we ask is just send some positive thoughts her way, and if you can share it out, share it out. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye for meow. What do you want, Chaplin? Huh? Ow. Ow. No, you're not allowed to bite me. No, let go. Chaplin. You're a silly boy.